Hey guys, welcome back to another week of fundamental analysis. Currently I am in a AJ trade right now, and we'll go through the actual fundamental basis. It hasn't really changed too much from last week. So we are in AJ trade right now. It is ranging. We'll let it do its thing, stop loss in place, but let's jump it right into the actual presentation. So this is fundamental analysis for the 14th of April to the 20th of April 2025. As per usual, guys, just a reminder that this is not financial advice. This is purely my take on the markets and what's going on. Please make your own informed decisions when investing your money and trading your money. Do your due diligence. This is not financial advice as per usual. So COT reporting, we see NAS 100, big bias change. We see yen accumulating more to the long side, 88%. We know it's a risk-off environment right now, from the sentiment point of view at least. We have 10-year bonds, euro and oil all having a slight bias increase. Gold, although still long-term long, and silver, we don't have too much of a change this week. We have USD, bearish, US 30, S&P, and the big one is Aussie, which is why also just confirming my AJ trade. At least COT reporting wise, we are doing quite well in the bias point of view. US data, we had core retail sales that was better than expected and also revised up, which is quite bullish on USD. As a result, we have sort of switched to a neutral USD reading for the economic side of things. We also have Powell. We had Powell's speech on the 17th of April. He was just sort of yapping on US economy still in a good position. GDP and NFP shows that growth has slowed. We are positioned well for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to policy stance. So neutral reading, just sort of said, yep, I still believe the numbers are good, although we are slowing down, but we're ready to wait for more clarity. No real shift in the tone of things per se. Aussie, we had labour market, so we had employment and unemployment rate. They sort of inversely cancelled each other out. We had bearish for employment change, but bullish for unemployment rate. So labour market conditions are neutral for Aussie, still net bearish, taking into consideration COT reportings as well. So yeah, bearish on Aussie right now. We also had monetary policy meeting minutes that I deemed as neutral. Basically said GDP growth picked up as expected, household consumption growth is recovering. Members noted that labour market conditions remain tight, unemployment increased in 2025. The biggest thing though is as expected, so no change in that sense. Members noted that data's previous meeting had been largely in line with expectations. So if everything's in line with expectations, if we can justify it being priced in, we don't really have a sentiment either hawkish or dovish. We just have a neutral sentiment reading for that. Yen, we had national core CPI, which was as expected, increase from previous, but as expected, we called it neutral. Yen still, I think, overall bullish. Again, environment, sentiment wise, favoring safe haven yen over more risk on assets. So I'm very happy to trade yen long still, even besides this economic reading part being bearish overall. Okay, charts wise, we had retail sales. So we can see core retail sales without automobiles still quite high, right? We had that dip in Feb, but everything's back to normal. Normal retail sales, including automobiles, is coming back up, which is a good sign in the sense that if people are starting to buy cars, then we know that cars being not a necessity, but a privilege per se, a want rather than a need, then we know that there is some life into the US market right now. Unemployment rate came down, came back up. This was revised down, so that was a big thing. That was employment change, sorry. Unemployment rate slowly fizzling up to that 4.1%. We do want to see it coming down, but it is what it is right now. We know that at least overall Aussie, I believe, is more bearish than anything. So this week's data, we spoke about most of the big ones anyways. Next week's data, we have PMI for USD. I want to have a suss and see what the Bank of England says, just to see how the pound's doing overall as well. And then we have Tokyo's core CPI, which will give us a better indication on yen in terms of the inflation part of things. We'll see if it can still hold bullish on that. So, going back on my bias, we had neutral COT reporting for gold. Overall bullish because USD is bearish. So my bias is still bullish, still happy for long trades. We have decreasing US inflation, neutral US economic data, which is more favorable for gold, and then the bearish labor market conditions, which is definitely more favorable for gold. We flip that on the inverse for US 30. We say no trades available, not a good climate for economic activity, especially in the US. AU, we know we're bearish Aussie, we're slightly bearish on USD, no trades. UJ, slightly bearish, bullish on yen, short trades to the yen side. Aussie, bearish, yen, bullish, short trades available. So that's pretty much fundamental analysis for the week. Nothing's changed in terms of what positions I want to take. If we jump into the markets now, let's go into my AJ trade firstly. Actually, let's just have a look at the dollar index, the yen index, see how that's performing. So dollar index, we know we're currently in a bearish market. Yen, we are ranging right now, but we are net overall bullish. AJ, I'll show you the trade I'm in. So we did take a trade off the 4-hour zone. We got in here first. It was just a bit of rejection here, and some price accumulating. So I did decide to get into a position here initially. We came back here. So I saw this bearish engulfing here. Not a very strong one, but still, price ranging in here. Had a slight element of position change and sentiment change, got into there as well. So we have two positions. I risked 1% for both of these. FYI, I am allocating up to 3% for my position. So we've got 2% right now. We'll let that sort of do its thing. If price tags us up into here and bias is still bearish, I will get into a position here instead, stop loss up here. But for the time being, these are the trades we're holding. AU, you can see Aussie, big change here, and may lead to a bull run, We are meeting resistance here, so nothing too crazy right now. UJ, we did mark up here as a potential. Sorry, was it marked up here? Yeah, was marked up here for a pullback. Not really happy with the price action, so we're going to leave that alone. US 30, we said we're not trading, right? Did see a big pump back up here. I think it would be, quite a big one, 10%. We'll leave that alone. And then gold pumped up. It sort of ran past us. Say this would be a better zone now. But even maybe here. Right, so we'll keep it a bit relatively safe. Gold will keep over here. See how, if there's any rejection here, we might get into gold. Again, dependent on the data at the time, fundamental bias at the time. But we can see gold's still definitely very, very bullish. So that's my analysis for the week, guys. I will be recording another video in regards to my AJ trade that I have won. But let's keep it chill for the fundamental for this week.